remind me if you'll be so kind. Staring out into space, asking God to hear my case. Trying to think of all things past. How long will my memory last? The purple angel, purple angel, purple angel, you're next to me.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I am the host of the show, Lori LeBay, and I welcome you today. For those of you that are new, I just want to tell you a little bit about us. Bottom line, this show and all of Alzheimer Speaks platforms was created due to my mom's journey of 30 years living with dementia and being a care partner and a daughter for her. I just thought there had to be more resources out there. And so Alzheimer's Speaks was created to raise everyone's voice. So today we are doing an open mic session, which means anybody can call in and talk to us on the topic of Alzheimer's, dementia, caregiving. And that number is 323-870-4602. That's 323-870-4602, and we would love to hear from you. Now, prior to starting the show and getting into our conversation, I always like to thank our audience listeners. You see, your likes, your clicks, your shares has expanded our base so much. It's almost ridiculous. I never thought the show would be international. And I just can't thank you each enough for doing that. You've gotten us recognized by Oprah and Maria Shriver and Dr. Oz and AARP and so many others. And again, I thank you because I really believe in this platform of sharing information. I think everybody has a story to share, and we would love you to be part of that with us. So thank you so much. And again, if you'd like to call in today, the number is 323-870-4602. I also want to give a shout out just to a couple of organizations. The Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation, which takes a holistic approach to aging and illness. You can get all kinds of information by going to their site at alzheimersprevention.org. You'll learn about diet and exercise and meditation and so many other things. And then Calendar Cards, who has a memory system to help people manage their daily lives who are diagnosed, have been so wonderful. And they have produced a memory cafe directory. So it's easy for people to find a memory cafe in their area. And it's also easy for people to list their memory cafes. And Calendar Cards does not charge for that. And you can go to the memorycafedirectory.com. That's memorycafedirectory.com to find listings here in the U.S., and they're starting to develop listings in other states as well. And then last I want to shout out to is Maria Shriver. She has the Women's Alzheimer's Movement, and she is just such a mover and shaker. She also has, every year, she does an event called Move for Minds, where they combine exercise and diet and some panelists, and they raise funds and have a lot of fun. She also has a very inspirational and motivational paper called the Sunday Paper that's electronic. And so if you're interested in getting information on any of those, go to the Women's Alzheimer's Movement.org. That's the Women's Alzheimer's Movement.org. So first I'm going to introduce a couple of my co-hosts with me today. I have Bob Savage with us, who's from Connecticut, and I am going to let Bob go ahead and tell you all a little bit about himself, if you don't mind, Bob.
No, not at all. It's a privilege to be on. My name is Bob Savage. I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 3 years ago, and I am very active in doing advocacy and doing public speaking, and my primary purpose is to help reduce stigma related to dementia.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bob. And then I want to also get on the line with us Dr. William Walsh. Bill lives here in Minnesota, and actually I met him through a colleague of mine and a member of the Memory Cafe. Welcome, Bill. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just great, Laurie. Just doing fine. I'm excited to be on your program.
Great. Can you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a retired doctor. I am an allergist, a regular, first of all, as a regular doctor, just like your internist or pediatrician or surgeon. And I chose the field of allergy as my specialty, and I practiced that for 40 years and retired in 2010. And the reason I became interested in allergy is, well, a couple of reasons. One is that during my professional career, I treated literally thousands of patients who had food problems and got to know and understand foods in our diet that are giving us trouble. And secondly, I myself developed Alzheimer's in 2015, and I was a member of the board of the Ramsey County Library and head of their program committee. And I needed to introduce a speaker, and it was just a short 5 minutes of introduction, or even less than that. And I found I was unable to do so, and that awoke me to the fact that I was really losing it and that I had to change my life or I was going to be going downhill pretty fast. I have authored a number of books about allergy, and with coming back or out of the dementia problem, I authored a book called Retaining the Mind that talks about my problems and where I identify in the diet the foods that give trouble.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Bill. And people can get Retaining the Minds on Amazon, I believe. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Yeah, because I remember sitting down and talking with you initially, and you had said, I couldn't really speak a full sentence anymore, and, I would get lost, if it wasn't a short sentence in terms of following conversation. And then here you are. I know earlier today you were involved in teaching a class. So, and on Thursday you're going to be a part of a panel for our Roseville group as well on dementia.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
So, yeah, great. We also have with us today Lisa Head. And so Lisa I'm going to let her just kind of tell her story too. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Lisa, and I was diagnosed with dementia in October of 2017, and so it's a little over a year ago. And I was a school teacher and an author before that. So I have a YouTube channel where I try to show people what it's like to be the one with dementia, because all I could ever find were ones put out by caregivers. And so my hope is to help others so that nobody feels like they're walking this trip alone.
That's wonderful. And Lisa, you want to give a plug for the name of your YouTube channel?
Living Life with Lisa.
Living Life with Lisa. Okay, wonderful. Well, today is just going to kind of be a free-for-all. Again, we welcome any of our listeners to call in with questions or comments to 323-870-4602. But in the meantime, we're just going to kind of have a conversation. And Bob, I know you were on Dementia Chats this morning, and you had a topic that you were interested in just sharing with the public. And if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about that.
Yes. When I was first diagnosed, I immediately felt like I was dropped from another planet. People would now talk to my wife. They would speak to me slower. And some of my friends were very hesitant to be involved, not knowing how they could help me. But as far as I know, my dementia is not contagious, but there are a lot of negative messages out there. And I would really urge that people don't discount us. We are still us, and we can live well with dementia. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about the stigma itself. How is one to describe this? Sorry, hon.
Oh, no, I just said please do, Bob.
Okay. How is one to describe the stigma that we currently experience related to dementia? It's the ongoing fear that people have experienced over generations as they watch their grandparents, parents, and friends disappear into the world of dementia. It's the ongoing message that keeps telling us that the numbers of people who will be affected by dementia is increasing at a non-believable rate, increasing the odds that many of us will end up with it. Many of us currently are seeing our parents, friends, old and young, experiencing dementia, and there is no current cure or way of preventing dementia. So we see no hope as to how to slow down the progress. When I was first diagnosed, the first 6 months, I was seriously considering suicide because of the fear of what was coming. And eventually, after about 6 months or so, I started to realize that there could be something more on how I could live my life. Started to think, well, maybe I could spend more time with my grandkids or my friends. And then there was a person who gave us a workshop who talked about all the different things that we're all facing related to dementia, but then said one of the most important things that you can have is a sense of purpose. If you have a sense of purpose, things will start to happen for you so you can start to do things. And my sense of purpose became very clearly that of dealing with dementia. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to read a poem that I wrote just recently that describes a little bit of what I mean by dementia. I was at a conference, and people from sorry, here I'm getting it. Okay. I was at a workshop recently where staff from a dementia care facility was describing what they were doing to improve communication with the people living in their facility. They used the term they at least 15 times when referring to the people living with them. And each time they said it, my stomach would cringe. So I wrote this poem called They. Who are these people who after one word we call them they? Did they have any choice as to why we call them they? Sometimes just one word, dementia, is why they are they. Is a person any different after dementia diagnosed as they? We still love, hate, think, enjoy, cry, be depressed after they. We still love our families, friends, have enemies after they. We still love movies, parties, vacations, traveling after they. We still have emotional upsets, anger, and frustrations after they. We definitely do not like the loss of independence after they. We don't like the loss of social contact after they. We do not like people deciding and speaking for us after they. We do not like being a burden to those we love after they. We like to continue to speak for ourselves after they. We'd like to be involved in all our decisions after our they. We'd like to set up new social contacts with others after our they. We like to be accepted in our communities after our they. So that poem sort of summarizes a bit of how I'm experiencing stigma.
I think it's a beautiful poem, and I think so many of us don't even realize we've categorized somebody differently and referring to them differently. And so I think that your poem is a really, really nice reminder. And if it's something that you would like published, I'd be more than glad to push that out on our blog. And then on Alzheimer Speaks on our main page, we also have a place for poetry. So if you're interested in that, just shoot that to me, Bob, and I'd be glad to share that with others.
I'd be very interested. I'll send it on to you.
Okay, great. I'm going to just pull in Lisa and Bill for comments. I'm going to go to Lisa first. What are your thoughts about stigma? Do you agree with what Bob is saying, or do you have some different twist to it?
Oh, I absolutely agree with Bob's poem. He hit the nail on the head. I was actually in a store one time with a friend, and we were looking for an item, and I was talking to the sales lady, and it was an item for dementia, and she told me that as far as she knew, nobody used this particular item for dementia. And I said, well, I have dementia, and I use it. And she turned to my friend and then finished the whole conversation with my friend and never acknowledged me again.
Oh, my gosh.
Once she heard that I had it, I all of a sudden couldn't talk. And so we walked out of there. Yeah. So that's very true. And, you know, I have friends that have walked away after they heard and others that stuck by. So.
And that has to be so hurtful, Lisa. When that happened, did you talk to your friend about how you felt, or did they just recognize it up front?
Well, I just realized one day they weren't around anymore, so there's not really, you know, they won't admit. I can't go up and say, "Are you hiding from me because I have dementia?" You know, I don't. But I. You know, like the sales girl, I never even occurred to me to say anything to her. And at the time, I was so shocked. And we went out to eat afterwards, and my friend said, "Did you notice that she only talked to me after you told her that?" Then I said, "Yes, I did notice that. I just wasn't sure I was reading it right." So,
wow,
it's a whole education thing out there. So.
Yeah, I've heard that so many times from so many people that, and Bob, I think you were the one that said one time on a Dementia Chats, it's just in a second your life changes when you get that diagnosis. It's just everything. Right. Everybody looks at you different in just that second.
Yeah, it's combined with fear. You know, it's amazing how quickly it changed.
Mm-hmm.
It scares the one who's being dementiatized.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bill, it's amazing how quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to pull Bill into the conversation here and see what his thoughts are regarding stigma.
Pardon me. I think that there is quite a bit of stigma, and I do agree with what has been said before. Pardon me.
Okay.
But there's also a lot of hope, and I guess I've always operated on hope, and perhaps unrealistically, but throughout my life, throughout college and medical school and treatment and so forth, that they're always looking for the way to make things better. And right now, there's really quite a bit of hopeful thoughts. For instance, we know that we can delay the onset of Alzheimer's significantly by diet changes and by exercise. And that gives us a feeling, hey, wait a minute, if we can do it, if we can delay the onset, how about going further? And in my case, like you mentioned, Laurie, for 4 years ago, I could hardly talk. I could not talk in long sentences because by the time I hit the end of the sentence, I forgot what I started the sentence for. I could not keep appointments because I couldn't remember them. And this Thursday, I will be giving a talk in the library, and I'll have 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to operate from one little 3x5 card. It just, if you see, my feeling is that there's hope out there, and if you look for the hope and change your life to go with the hope, in the future, I think we're going to see more and more people controlling their dementia better.
Yeah, there is hope. I know that I've talked with a lot of people regarding, the diet, because I know the diet you are on is extremely strict, and that can be a little tricky for people to deal with. And some people just choose not to. It's too much of a constraint for them. But everybody is different in that. I think Lisa, we had a conversation one time about diets. And and correct me if I'm wrong, because I could get it mixed up. But I thought it was you that said, if I want a slice of pizza, I'm having a slice of pizza. And still about enjoying life, and to you that's a real important factor, if I'm remembering correctly. So again, please state if that wasn't you who said that, but I believe
that was
me. It was. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's all about balance and what do you want out of life, and how do you look at it. Bob, have you tried anything with diet at all?
I eat a very light diet. I don't have any specific foods that I eat, but I'm eating much less and intentional. I eat less meat and I eat more vegetables. And I eat a lot of fruits and salad.
Okay.
But I do. The point I'd like to talk with Bill about, too, is I agree wholeheartedly with him about hope. But what my point was more about the world around us and the stigma that, and I don't think, in being with Laurie and being with other people, I see a lot of hope with the people that have dementia and how they're struggling with their life. What I'm concerned about is the numbers of people out there that are very hesitant to get a diagnosis because of their fear. And the longer, as you know, the longer they go, the longer that the problem can be once they are diagnosed. So I'm just so impressed with people who have got the diagnosis, are willing to start to live their life with a sense of purpose, and are able to make the accommodate changes they need to do that. But again, what I'm worried about more, what I'm scared about more, is the very strict, the very serious dementia out there, which is really limiting the amount of funds that are available to people who are trying to live well with dementia.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you just 100%. And both Lou and Laurie said things that are important. One is the very difficulty of following a diet like I do. The diet works super for me, but other people, you essentially give up about everything that you like to eat, and there are a lot of people who just don't do that. And I see that every day in my life. I see the people that can walk around with that blank look that shows you that they've got the dementia coming in, and have they changed their diet? No. Do they, even those people who know me and know that has how work for me, are not doing it? I think the only hope that I see of that coming is having people like Laurie and other people who are specialists in the field who can help these people to change their lives so that they can take advantage of what modern science is telling us about dementia. I don't think I think I can write. In fact, I've got a second book that's about ready to go. I think I'm going to turn it over within the next month to the people who publish. But that is a little bit like a failing way of doing. I'm stuck on a way to say this, but if the people who are in the daily care in helping people with Alzheimer's don't take it up and help other people to live the life that I have to live.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Lisa, is there any particular topic that because you're connected really well with people with dementia, especially through your Living Life with Lisa videos, topics that are really important that you think we need to talk about, I think stigma is always going to be there for a long, long time. And I think that's what's so beautiful about hearing all of your voices out, because, I mean, some people will just be shocked that a person with dementia can even talk, let alone carry on a conversation, because they seem to think it's all end stages. But I'm sure there's other issues out there that you're hearing about. Do you have any you'd like to share?
Well, I just feel that there's really, in my area, nothing set up for people that get dementia. It's mostly for the people that are caring. There's no support groups for people that have it. There's really, I'm still raising 3 boys, and there's no agencies that can care for me and my boys. They care for me, but they can't care for my boys, which means that I'm well enough to take care of 3 growing boys, but I can't take care of myself when they do that. And so the society's not set up for people that are of a younger age getting it. And I was a lot worse at one point, and I started using CBD oil drops under my tongue about a year ago, and now I no longer switch topics, and the medicines are check out, as they say. So I think that helps. But there's just so many things that aren't set up for us. It's kind of like once you get dementia, you just go sit in a chair somewhere, and there's nothing, like when I was told when I was 53 years old that I had dementia, and then I was sent on my way with a little piece of paper with the definition of dementia. And so there's nothing set up with any kind of social worker or anything. So I just think that there's no safety nets anywhere in our society for this, or at least not with the doctors that know to give it to us when we're diagnosed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
Can I break in on that?
Sure.
I do agree with you very much. I look at intelligence as being the 2 parts. One is book intelligence, and the other is street smarts. And I think when you go to a doctor to get a diagnosis of, the dementia, which is terribly necessary that you do that, that's book smart. But when you want to know how to live the daily life, then there are, like in our city, there are groups of people who have the street smarts who will sit down with you and go through what they know, because the doctor who gave you that diagnosis might be able to make the diagnosis, but doesn't really understand the life and the stigma and so forth that a person with, like us who have the dementia, goes through. So I guess this is a plea to find your local people who have dementia and join them. And there you'll find so many of the answers that you're looking for.
If I could jump in too, we have support groups for people with dementia, run by people with dementia. And we've been doing this now for about 2 years. And it's amazing how effective it is, that immediately people start to trust each other. And out of that comes usually some idea what they would like to do to contribute to society as a whole. And so mutual support. I
agree with you so much.
Yeah. The mutual support by people with dementia, when we come together, there's no stigma. And we all have something in common. And we just had a support group yesterday with a woman who was there for the first time, who was a former teacher and was having a hard time now to speak. And she had 5 minutes to describe her issues. She was very, very eloquent in speaking because she felt trusted there. So, again, and I agree with you, Bill, too, that if the people in your area, and Lisa, the people in your area that you know have dementia, we really come together and work to support each other, It's very effective.
And Gloria is really in the middle of that and doing a beautiful job.
Right. She is, right.
Oh. Well, thank you. I try. There's just, it's nice to see that there's so many avenues out there, but the problem is the general public still doesn't know they exist. And so It takes all of our voices to keep pushing this, because our standard, kind of government agencies stuff aren't disseminating the information. And plus there are so many grassroots things and that are happening, or individuals that have had an experience. And I think that there's this, in the past it's always been, well, if there's, somebody has to be vetted and they have to be an organization or they have to be a nonprofit. And, those organizations, in my eyes, haven't been able to deliver the amount and the type of services needed. And so what's happened is it's happening in this grassroots kind of individual, places, and no one's connecting people to all of these things. And instead of, trying to reproduce what's happening, it's just nice to be able to send them off and let people make their own decisions, because everybody has different priorities. Everybody has different needs. Everybody has different, financial budgets that they're working with, or, location limits, or even access. Not everything has to be in person anymore. And I think so much of it was still structured that it has to be in person. And we are seeing so much happening, through radio and podcasts and TV and cable and, video chats. And there's just so much through social media where information is being disseminated, but it's not being cultivated and collected in an easy fashion for both professionals and families. And that's one of the things I'm excited about. I'm working with a company called Prevalence. And if you go to alzheimerspeaks.com, we have a resource tab, and it just has a little bit of information in there compared to what it'll have. But like the Mayo Clinic is going to be one of the major content producers. But even if you go out looking for information, a lot of times if you even Google a hospital or clinic with the word dementia or Alzheimer's, nothing pops up. And yet if you Google heart disease or cancer, all of those things pop up. And so, that's a big thing that has to change, so that people can get connected and can find information. I'm sorry I went off on a tangent there, but I really believe that we've got to do better, and we've got to collaborate to make that happen. And that's one of the reasons I appreciate all of your time so much, because your voices are really helping make a difference and giving people a little space to breathe and not feel so overwhelmed, because you're setting examples of somebody who is living with the disease and living with it honestly, because it's not all going to be peachy every single day. It's going to have ups and downs, just like life does before dementia hits. I wanted to ask Bob, you have done a lot with advocacy where you're at. Can you touch base on kind of some of your arts projects and stuff too that you've done? Because that's another, I think, stigma where people think people with dementia can't do stuff like that.
Yeah, I never painted my life until I got dementia, and the Alzheimer's Association here at that time would drive us to a local museum, and after they would show the showings of the art, we'd have a short an hour or so on teaching how to paint, and that really started me going. Now here I live in assisted living, And after 5 o'clock at night, they have this beautiful art studio. And I spend most of my evenings there painting. And I find it such a wonderful way to relax. And my room is full of paintings, and I give them to staff. They're everywhere. And I'm now very heavily into abstract painting. And I just submitted a large one to there's a conference, Dementia International, I think, is having a conference in June. And they have an art competition. And I submitted a very large piece of art. And so we won't hear for another month or so, but I got support from here to send that. But art, what I'm finding there is I start a piece of art, and I never know where it's going, and I let my emotions flow, and the messages that come out of that art is just amazing. It surprises me, and the point there is that there's ways of communicating through our brain and through our emotions that are tapped by poetry and tapped by music and tapped by painting. So it's an easy thing to do, much easier. And it's not. I don't do art that I have to do it a certain way. I do my own art the way I want to. I remember when I had art in school, they said, "Oh, you got to do it this way," and you failed again. So art's a way of freeing a lot of your emotions, and I find it very, very. If I have a difficult day, art helps to repair whatever that the issues are during that day.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, and I think it's Dementia Action Alliance that is having that
That's right.
conference
That's
in
right.
June. And I was just trying to. They switched their page up here, but where did it go? I can find the dates. So it's Dementia Action Alliance, and their website is daanow.org, daanow.org, and it'll be their second Dementia Conference, June 20th through the 22nd at Westin Buckhead Hotel, and that's in Atlanta, Georgia. But you can get more information by going to daanow.org. And their conference is really different because the majority of the speakers have dementia. And so, go ahead, Bob.
Lori, an interesting thing about this is that the only people who can submit their art are people who have dementia and have learned started to paint only after they had their dementia. And it's not only art, there's pottery, there's all different things that people can show. But I was very impressed with the fact that, you have to prove your dementia before you can qualify. That doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, I just think it's a great organization. Go ahead, Lisa.
No, I said, he's right. You usually don't have to prove it to anybody. That's wonderful, Dig, at that.
Oh, too funny. I was looking on the site to see if I could find about the art submission, but I'm not seeing that. But I'm sure if you contact them, they would love to get a hold of you and talk more on that for sure.
The deadline for submitting is the 15th of January, so it's getting short.
Okay, that's creeping up here quick. I'm going to just look at the conference page and see if there's anything more that I can see at a glance without digging too deep on that. Oh, they're bringing Kate Swifter in from Dementia Alliance International. Yeah.
Right.
So
that's
neat.
One.
Yep. And then Paya from Toronto is going to be there, and Al Powers are all going to be the keynote speakers. So that's cool. And early bird registration goes through April 15th. Deadline, it's a deadline proposal for submissions. Oh, that's passed. So we're good with that. And they're going to do an intensive with Al Power on June 20th, plus the conference on the 20th through the 22nd. So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So feel free to contact them on that. That would be great. Lisa, are you involved with DAA at all?
Are you talking to me?
No, to Lisa?
Oh, Lisa. Okay.
Oh, am I involved with who?
With Dementia Action Alliance?
No.
Okay.
I'm
That
not
might
familiar. Well, that's maybe I'm going to say I'm not familiar with them, but that may be one that she's told me about several times that I've forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be something, Bill, for you too to check into. And Bob, I don't know, are you a member or are you just submitting your artwork with them? Are you?
I am a member. I'm part of a support group there too. So.
Okay, that's what I thought. The other thing I think that's good to talk about too when people are looking for support and stuff is dementia mentors. And I'm just wondering if any of you had gone through that process with dementia mentors. And Bob, I'll start with you and then go to Bill.
I have not. I've been tempted to try it, but I just haven't been able to do it yet.
Okay.
But I hear it's very effective. You have a one-on-one with somebody who's an expert, and I think it's effective for a lot of people.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Dementia Mentors is an organization that really is devised of people with dementia. And so if you're newly diagnosed, you can call in and or email them and get hooked up with a mentor, and that mentor actually has dementia. And so I know that they try, if you have like frontal temporal lobe, they'll try to hook you up with someone who has that, or if you have Lewy body, they try to hook you up with somebody with the same type of dementia. And they have people all around the world that are connecting with this. And this isn't just a one-time thing. A lot of times they'll meet every week or 2 weeks, depending on what their schedules are, just to help somebody get acclimated to living with dementia on that. So, Lisa, have you ever been in contact with Dementia Action Alliance, or not Dementia Action Alliance, but Dementia Mentors?
No, I've had people talk about it, but I didn't know what it was, and I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I know that some people say they're mentors, and I didn't know what that meant. So.
Yeah.
As far as,
and you're kind of connecting with people on your own through doing your videos and stuff. But it is nice, I think, just to have that other support. Bill, have you ever gone to or contacted Dementia Action Alliance or Dementia Mentors?
No, I have not. I feel that I very much want to be in the field of dementia care, but my way of doing it would be through publishing and through speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dementia Action Alliance might be a good connection for you, actually.
I find the local. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I find the local Alzheimer's group very worthwhile for me. And I enjoy being part of that.
Okay. So you're referring to our Roseville group, or are you talking about the...
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And with that, we're called Roseville AD. And Bill and I both live in Minnesota in that area. And we do educational programs just about monthly and coordinate with the city and the library system there. And so it's, we usually get, on the low side, maybe 30 people, and on the high side, up to 110 per presentation. I think our max is about 110 in the room. And it's very exciting, to see all the different variables come together, from people with dementia to families and professionals in the area, trying to educate and elevate awareness. Our library system there had developed kits called the Memory Minder kits, and they have 3 different levels, and I think they're working on one for Lewy body, if I'm not mistaken. So they have got one for early, middle, and later stages, and they package different things together that help both the person with dementia and the care partner to engage and learn in a different fashion and stuff. So that's kind of neat. That. Before I forget, I did want to read a poem of Truthful Loving Kindness, who is part of our Dementia Chats.
Oh, yes.
And
I've read it.
Yeah, it's a very powerful poem, and she does an excellent job. She's got a wonderful blog as well, but it's called Floating Words. And True was talking today. She's been living with symptoms for almost 20 years now, and she's struggling more with words. Like, she can't be part of the radio show because she can't follow a conversation by phone. She really needs to be in person or doing kind of a video chat. And even that has become more difficult, she said, for her. So it's called Floating Words. Words float around and past me. Sometimes they splash against my body. I hear them spoke. I understand each word. I reach for them, but mostly they just float around me without joining, without coalescing into concepts that I can grab or hold or understand. Sometimes I'm able to grab a passing thought and hold it, finally understanding, responding to the speaker and building relationship. But then it's gone again. Words float around and past me. Sometimes I feel alone and require visuals or touch. And I just thought that was such a great poem, because I think so many people are struggling with this, but a lot of us as care partners or just the general public don't understand the difficulty that they're dealing with dementia in terms of understanding. Lisa, I'm going to go to...
Can I break in?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Bill.
That's exactly the way I felt 4 years ago when I was deep into it. Words, the way that she expressed it is exactly the way that I felt about it. As I would talk, words would come and go on me, and I had great difficulty in putting together a sentence, and a long sentence became just impossible. So I think that poem is just super good.
Yeah, I was really impressed when I saw it written. It was in a closed group, and I said, is there, can I get permission to publish this? I just think it's something that would help people understand. And she's like, absolutely, So if you go to the Alzheimer Speaks blog or Alzheimer Speaks website, we have a poetry section there that I posted it in as well. Lisa, what are your thoughts on the poem?
What's my what?
What are your thoughts on the poem I read, Floating Words? Did that click with you at all?
Oh, yes, and it also shows that even though through the outside world she looks like she can't understand anything and is having a hard time speaking, she is aware of it and is still truthful inside.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And even though she would seem different on the outside, she's still that same person on the inside.
Yep. Yeah, very good. And Bob, I know that you liked it. Another thing I want to mention, and I don't know how many people actually saw this or not, but I posted a blog called We Are Family. And it features two dear friends of mine. One is a retired sociologist, Dr. Kathy Greenblatt, who's out in California, and then Corinne Mander, who is a film producer and director over in Australia. And they've done a lot of combination projects. And the last one they did is called We Are Family, and it just shows about how you can live a beautiful life with dementia. And the film is, I want to say, probably about a half an hour long, but it's just this. Dr. David Sheard is the creator of the butterfly model, and they kind of throw everything out the door. And so they don't wear uniforms because they want to be family. Staff always eats with the residents. At nighttime, the staff even wears pajamas. So, because that can disorient their residents. If someone's dressed, well, then maybe I should be dressed and stuff. And they don't do the typical dementia training either. They sit their staff down, and instead of talking about what dementia is like, they dig into their own lives and say, when were you your most vulnerable? And they get them to really think about how scary it can be for people with dementia in different situations. And it really, it comes at them from a heart level in terms of changing how they interact with somebody, in terms of being more compassionate. And they've done 4 other films that are also listed on the blog that are just fantastic. One was with Silverado Corporation called Love Lives Here. Another one was called It Takes a Community, which was from over in Australia, and another one is Finding the Why, which was over in Australia. And then Love, Loss, and Laughter, Living with Dementia, talks about Dr. Kathy Greenblatt actually has an exhibit that can tour. It's toured all around the world. So if anyone's looking for photography that they would like to have, and at their community or organization, or maybe at City Hall, it doesn't make a difference where, conference, beautiful piece, which is just another medium to be able to try to change people's perceptions. And that's one of the things that I've loved about adding, the radio in and doing the video chats and stuff that we do with Dementia Chats. I think all of those things add to the ability for people to not only take things in, but really absorb and understand at their level, because we all learn differently. Now, Bill, you had talked that you're going to be, you spoke this morning, you're going to speak again on Thursday. Lisa, have you been doing any speaking at all? I know that you speak when you do your video blogs, Living Life with Lisa, but have you done any formal speaking? Is that of interest to you?
I haven't done any formal speaking, but yes, it is of interest to me. The closest I came, I did a video for Cup of Snow, and that may be it.
Okay. So. And where are you located again?
I'm located in Indiana, in the middle of some cornfields.
Okay, I was thinking you were in Indiana. I just wanted to make sure. So if anybody is listening, and I really encourage conferences to have people with dementia, be one of their featured speakers, or have a panel and do an interview process. Every conference I go to, it's always top on my list to try to see if I can get that coordinated, because I think the value is just so high. And Bob, you're still doing speaking out in Connecticut, correct?
I do a lot of speaking. We do we do a lot of Dementia Friends, setting up at Dementia Friends, and do a lot of, we have what we call To Whom It May Concern, and it's people with dementia speaking to people in the audience about their experience. And it's sometime when I have more time, I'll tell you how it's processed. But it's very powerful.
Okay.
So I'm very active.
Great.
And I learned so much. I get more out of it than in the audience, I tell you.
Well, that's how I feel as a speaker too. It's very, very important stuff that you're always learning. Or
right.
We should be. As far as I'm concerned. I'm just going to mention one other blog post that I did, and I had the opportunity this last year to go out to Aegis Living in Washington and in California, and their owner, Dwayne Clark, did a beautiful talk explaining their care culture. And what was neat was it wasn't all about the residents and the family. It was really about their staff and the culture of how how the organization cares for them, because they don't want turnover, and everybody's struggling out there with their turnover in staff and trying to find enough people to care for those who they've said that they would care for. I don't care if it's home health care, or if it's a hospital or a clinic, or a memory care, assisted living. Everybody is scrambling for staff out there. And Dwayne really talks about how he's built and nurtured his company, and it's just really an inspiring talk. It's almost kind of like a TED Talk in some ways with that. So if you're interested,
what's the name of Dwayne's organization?
Aegis. It's AEGIS. AEGIS. Yep.
Aegis.
Yep. Aegis Living. And if you just go to our blog, Alzheimer Speaks blog, and put in Aegis, there'll be a couple things that come up, because I just did an interview with music therapist and an art therapist. But the talk on the care culture will come up, and that was, I want to say I posted that like January 5th or 6th, something like that.
And what's the person's name?
Dwayne Clark.
Dwayne Clark. Okay.
Yep, and it's DWAYNE. Yep.
Right.
Dwayne Clark. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna look that up, because we're doing a lot of work here about that with that.
Oh, cool. Cool. Well, any last comments that you have, Bob? I can't believe our hour's almost blown by.
I just have a quick question.
I'm very impressed with what Bill had to say, what Lisa had to say, and each time I always like to be on these, because I learn a lot, and it's also good to be able to share.
Great, me too. Thank you for being with us, Lisa. You had a comment?
I had a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Where would I go to see about starting a group in my area? Because we don't. We can't just put it in the paper. I don't know how to start one.
Oh, for a memory cafe?
Yeah.
Are you thinking? You go to memorycafedirectory.com, and you can register your group there, or I'd be glad to sit and talk with you about how to start one up. And I'll put that in your Facebook note too, where you can search that out and see it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's nothing in your area, but we'll get you that information. Definitely. And again, that's the memorycafedirectory.com. So, Bill, any last words from you?
Well, I'm just enjoying being with you, and anything that we can do to advance the care of the people with dementia, I'm all for it, and I'll be there.
Great. Well, thank you all for your time and your support and your insights today. I really appreciate it very much. In wrapping up, I'm just going to give a shout out to a couple other organizations. One is the Purple Table Reservations, and they are a group that are trying to educate restaurants and get them into an app where people can kind of search for a restaurant who knows how to deal with dementia, post-traumatic stress, autism, who is just a little bit more conscious and knows where it might be best to seat somebody, what lighting is best, and there isn't anything obnoxious or it's going to make you stand out. It just is going to be a little more smooth process. And right now they have a few restaurants, but not as many as people would like. So you can go to purpletables.com. That's purpletables.com to get more information on their program. And if you know of any restaurants maybe they should approach, please let them know that. And in the meantime, have a wonderful, wonderful week. And keep in mind, this is Alzheimer's Awareness Month, so spread the word. Share a radio show, or go to alzheimerspeaks.com and get further information. We're all about trying to be there and meet your need. And maybe next open mic, you'll join us. You're always welcome. Thanks, everybody. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Lori LeBay, and I wanted to tell you about Alzheimer Speaks, which is another great podcast. You see, my own mother lived with dementia for 30 years, and I felt lost. Did you know every 3 seconds someone in the world is being diagnosed with dementia? Odds are it's going to hit your families too. We want to help you connect to services, products, tools, research, and stories so you can be prepared. Please subscribe to Alzheimer Speaks on your favorite podcast platform.